Hello everybody out there and welcome back to another episode of the Dark Avenger comic book review. Coming at you a couple of days late. It was a crazy beginning of the week, but we're here now. That's the important thing. Tommy's in the background. He wanted to watch this review. We're here. We're on the road to 500. This is episode 493, which means only 7 more episodes. 7! Until we hit 500. I'm excited. I hope all of you are excited. Everybody's excited. This is exciting times. So for this episode, I decided to do something special. I decided to go classic with this review. We're going back in time, pre-100th Dark Avenger comic book review. We're going classic with just myself in front of the camera talking about the books I read this week. The only difference, and unfortunate difference, is the fact that I don't have my physical books. We order our books. We get them once a month now instead of weekly. So I don't have physical books to show you guys. But I will be editing this video. So as I'm talking about my books, on one of these sides, I don't know which one yet. It's up to editing me to decide which side they're going to be on. The covers will be appearing as I talk about the books I'm reviewing. And this week, I had 7 books. And the books I'm going to be talking about in this review came out on May 8th, 2019. So, without further ado, let's get into the books. Starting with the independents, only had one indie book this week, and that was Unnatural issue number 9. I've been really enjoying the Unnatural series. I recommend it to a lot of people. It's not something for young readers, for sure. I mean, the variant covers in and of themselves kind of show that. This is more of a mature read book, but I'm actually pleasantly surprised with this book. I've been really enjoying the story. My only complaint, and it's something we talked about on Frontline Live, is the fact that this book took 2 breaks in between each chapter. There were 3 chapters. We're today starting with issue number 9, the third and final chapter. Usually when Image does breaks in their books, it's usually to give the writers and the artists a little bit of a break, and it's great. It's a good thing, so it gives them time to kind of work on the next arc or work on, whatever else they're working on and kind of catch up a little bit. With Unnatural came out already in Europe. It's done. This book is literally just being translated by Image into English so that we can read it. I don't feel like this book needed a break in between. I feel like we should have already had this book. It should have been done, or we should have been close to finishing Unnatural. That's my only complaint. The art, I'm loving. The story has really interested me a lot. This issue, not much progression with Leslie. We know in the last issue that Leslie and the albino have combined, or she's kind of let him take over finally. This issue is kind of her dealing with that, and we see her within herself kind of talking with the albino, trying to convince him to maybe he could still change. That's what the bride saw back in the past, and the problem is the albino doesn't want to change. Before I finish, because this is going into the end of the issue, we get a flashback in this issue because the mother is a focal point in this issue, and we actually find out the mother, I'm repeating myself a lot, the mother actually wasn't in such a picture-perfect relationship, that her husband was pretty abusive towards her, and we find out how she met her boyfriend, and how, because we thought up until the last issue that the mother and the father were in a beautiful relationship, and the mother was just cheating on the father, and the father was kind of the one that was being screwed over. The mother was the one that was kind of the bad guy, and now we come to find out that the father was abusing the mother, and the mother kind of found somebody that treated her good. So I like the twist, and then the ending has Leslie saying if the albino isn't going to change, then maybe it's time we end this once and for all. Obviously, we know it's not going to end that way. I've truly been enjoying Unnatural. Unnatural has been a really fun series, an enjoyable series, but again, it's a mature series. So again, mature readers, but something I definitely recommend if you're above the age of 16. Let's say 16 to be safe. I would say 18 to 16. It's a mature read. So parents, it's a mature read. Next, moving into the big 2, we have Symbiote Spider-Man issue number 2, starting off with Marvel as always. I liked this second issue a lot because you got Spider-Man trying to find Mysterio to apologize for what he did in the previous issue. We get introduced to, oh my god, I forget what his name was in here, but Mysterio hires a mutant who is super strong and super invulnerable, to basically kill Spider-Man because Mysterio wants Spider-Man's suit. So kill Spider-Man, take his suit. So he hires this thug or this mutant to do that. And Spider-Man and this mutant, they end up in a fight. He gets one up, and right as the mutant's about to kill Spider-Man, the suit kind of makes sure that doesn't happen. Let's just say it that way. So Mysterio kind of... I like how the focal point is more Mysterio than Spider-Man. This is kind of like Mysterio's point of view of events that happen, and there are references to Amazing Spider-Man 24 or one of the older Spider-Man issues. So this definitely plays reference to older Spidey stories back when Spider-Man first got the symbiote costume, and I like that. And this was just a really great read, and in the end we find out that Mysterio might be teaming up now with Kingpin to try to get the symbiote costume away from Peter Parker, or away from Spider-Man, because they don't know Spider-Man's Peter Parker. I love it. The artwork is amazing, minus a couple of small panels where people looked a little too happy for their own good. Other than that, this was a great read, and I recommend it. I know the first issue was off to a rocky start. A lot of people weren't sure about the series. This issue definitely picks up, and I can't wait to read the rest of it. That's for sure. Speaking of Spider-Man, last book from Marvel. I only had 2 Marvel books this week. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, issue number 6. Before I even talk about this book, and I'm not going to give away great details, this was a segue story between the first arc and the next arc, but it kind of connects both, or it connects at least from the ending of the last arc. This is a book everyone should definitely check out. Now, I know one person through Frontline was not a fan of this book because he felt it was very sappy, very, I thought this was my favorite book of the week. My favorite book so far in 2019. I will be shocked if this book does not make it to the Frontline Awards next year. This book tugged at heartstrings. There were feels galore. So Spider-Man is teaming up with this kid, Spider-Bite, and the book starts off with them fighting the Sinister 60, all of Spider-Man's villains. And at first you're like, well, what's going on? Is this like an other world, an alt world or whatever? And then we get towards the middle or towards the end of the book, and we find out that it's Spider-Man with this kid, with this child who has cancer, or he's sick and dying. And it's like kind of like a Make-A-Wish Foundation. He wanted to always meet Spider-Man. And he met Spider-Man, and he got to play act being a superhero with Spider-Man for a day. And all of the Sinister Six it's basically one big play for the child to make the child feel better. And there's a part where, the parents like it's time to go to bed, and the child fights to go to bed. And the parents explain to Spider-Man outside the room why he doesn't like to sleep, because he's afraid he's not going to wake up. And at that moment in the book, there's a panel where you see Spider-Man just looking in at this kid, and he's sad because he thinks he's upset Spider-Man by screaming he didn't want to go to bed. That panel and that moment was so powerful, because right after that you see... Now, remember, Aunt May is going through chemo right now because she has cancer, and he sees this child, and he actually says, you know what? Does he have a coat? And he takes the kid out web swinging in the end of the issue. People can say it's sappy, this book. People can say a lot of things about this book. I thought this book was from the heart. I thought this book showed Spider-Man at his greatest. There were a lot... This was a segue story. It was a one-and-done issue. There was a lot of heart put into this story, and I thought it was beautiful. I thought this was a very beautiful book, and a lot of people missed this book. I recommend you go back and check it out. This was amazing. Whether you're a Spider-Man fan, you're a Marvel fan, you're neither. If you read comics, this is definitely one I would recommend from this week. It was just so heartfelt. I loved it. I loved it. This is a 5-star book. This book gets book of the week for me. I used to do that. So this was definitely book of the week for the week of May 8, 2019. Moving on to DC Comics, and before we get into DC, well, we're in DC. We're doing the Wonder Comics Wonder Twins issue number 4. This was my lowest book of the week. I thought it was kind of goofy, the dating, and I can understand why people like the book. I can understand why people might have enjoyed it. For me, when I think of the Wonder Twins, I wanted to kind of see them built up into the DC universe to a point where maybe we would see them like in Justice League, or we'd see more. This is a mini-series, and it's going the comedic route. And another thing that they threw in there in previous issues that kind of had me a little was the fact that they threw social political stuff into the book. This was them dating. Zan is dating a girl who meets up with her boyfriend, and they kind of make up, and the date kind of goes the way of she ends up with her boyfriend again, and he's just happy because he's made friends. And Jan was dating this other guy that she met, and he was a complete and utter jerk. Best way to put it, he was a jerk. There's a part with the father and the Legion of Doom, or the Legion of Doom Light, put it that way. So in the end, Zan becomes friends with the girl, Jan ends up running away from the boyfriend. Zan just ends up friends with everybody, and that's it. That's how it ends. And it was an okay issue, but it was kind of goofy. This one was a little bit more goofy than usual. I'm still going to be reading the series. It's 2 more issues to go, and I have faith in the series. I am liking Wonder Twins. I just wonder sometimes if this might read better in trade when the whole story's done, but there's only 2 more issues to go. I'll be sticking with it. Again, this one was just the one-off goofy one. Every issue, I have to agree with Mike, Spider Slayer feels like its own story. This issue didn't hit me as well as the previous 3. Going into Detective Comics now. Detective Comics 1003. We find out who Arkham is. We don't know who the hell she is, but apparently we find out at the end of the issue that she's Arkham's daughter. Dr. Arkham's daughter. But she has this long dialogue with Robin trying to say, we got to get you away from the bat, away from the darkness. You can join me, be one of my knights. She's completely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, by the way. You could tell that off the bat. She lets Robin go after there's a small altercation after she told them not to attack Robin, and 2 of them did, and they end up paying for it by the end of the issue. I love the back and forth with Batman and Robin here, with Damian and Bruce. I really like the father-son back and forth. Like when Damian was drawing and Bruce was like, you really should own your skills. You really should bring them to the highest potential you can. And not just that, but I like how Batman is being written here. I like the dialogue. I like how the book is going. And the artwork in this book is really great. First issue threw me off a little bit because I was used to the way Detective was previous. But now the art, I really truly enjoy it. Detective Comics, this is a strong way to move off of issue 1000. Superman, I feel like after 1000 kind of went on the waves a little bit for me. And you all know how I felt about Superman since issue 1000 of Action. I feel like Batman, after Detective 1000, is still going strong. This Arkham arc is going really well. Again, it's just it's Dr. Arkham's daughter who hates Batman because she thinks he's evil, and she's a little lost in her brain. Yeah, to be determined. But I still like this arc. I'm really enjoying it, and I definitely recommend checking it out. SHAZAM! Issue number 5. I can only see this arc surviving 1 or 2, and that's stretching it issues. But we've got all the Marvel families separated all over the place. You got Freddy and Darla trapped in the animal realm, and we actually get to see. And a lot of people who aren't familiar with SHAZAM won't know the character, the Tiger character. In the older comics, he ends up mayor. I don't know if that's what Jeff Johns is doing in this series. If somehow he'll end up back on Earthrealm and he'll run for mayor or whatever. But he's a civilized tiger. You've also got Eugene and Pedro stuck in the Gameverse. I did not like the artwork because every world has different art. You've got Black Adam looking for Billy, looking for SHAZAM to kill him because apparently Billy is going to do something really wrong and Black Adam's going to try to stop him. And then you got Billy saving Mary and fighting off against the Kid Prince in the Funlands. And then Dr. Sivana shows up at the end and basically asks Black Manta to join him or be killed. And Black Adam's like, Okay. So we're going to get a Black Adam versus Dr. Savannah being controlled by Mr. Mind in the next issue. I feel like this arc has gone on for a while. Next issue hopefully will end it, or at least end the part of them being in all the different realms and move forward with the stuff like Billy's dad. Why and who, and there's a lot connected to that. And I'm really interested in seeing where this goes. Jeff Johns is doing an amazing job with SHAZAM. I definitely recommend SHAZAM. I actually just started picking SHAZAM up again in the physical single issue form instead of the trade. I'm really liking it. Definitely recommend it. And lastly this week, we have a number 1. Batman and the Outsiders, issue number 1. This book was delayed to be rewritten. So this arc that we're getting now was not the original plan they were going with Batman and the Outsiders. But the one character I'll say that is severely out of character here is Duke. I noticed it. A lot of my fellow Frontline let's do this again. On Frontline Live, everybody was saying that Duke was a little bit off, very different than when we first were introduced to him, when it was the We Are Robin, when it was the We Are Robin title. He's still kind of reeling from what happened with Karma, and I understand that, but at the same time, he's very rebellious. Duke was never as rebellious as he is now. You got Black Lightning, who is now the leader of this team, and Batman wants him to lead this team of family members that he doesn't want to deal with right now, and let them deal with stuff outside of his main realm. And we get introduced to this other girl who apparently has regenerating abilities and super strength when she's mad or upset. And this guy attacks her. We don't know who he is yet. His name is Ishmael. And he's attacking her. And then we get introduced to another character at the end of the book who is from the future, who says he's there to protect her from this other guy. We're going to get his backstory in the next issue because she's part of she's a huge part of the future where everything goes bad. And Batman wants the Outsiders to find this girl and kind of bring her back to Arkham and help her. And again, she's some type of a possible prophecy. I feel bad. She just lost her dad, and I don't know who this villain is that's going after her. I guess, like I said, we'll get more with issue 2. And again, when it comes to Batman, it's like, yeah, the book's called Batman and the Outsiders, and the word Batman's there to sell the book. And yes, I know a few people have mentioned that Batman's always founded the Outsiders. It's been that way throughout the course of time. Batman always starts the Outsiders, and there was a point where the Outsiders actually broke away from Batman, or Batman left the Outsiders, and the Outsiders continued on without Batman. But yeah, Batman always started the Outsiders, so I guess with Rebirth and, coming off of New 52, this is kind of like the current day way that Batman starts up the Outsiders, and then at some point Batman possibly will leave. We don't know yet. But basically Batman's there, gives the mission, and then he's off. He's like, okay, I trust all of you. Good luck. And I feel like in this case, he just doesn't want to be bothered in this book. Kind of like night and day from the Batman we see in Detective Comics. I mean, if it's going to be called Batman and the Outsiders, I'd like to see Batman in the book a little bit more, or let this arc play out, and then let Batman leave the Outsiders. Because if Batman is just going to fly in and fly out, in like 1 or 2 pages each issue, don't bother. Take Batman out, call the book The Outsiders, and have it associated with the Bat Family books, but not with Batman in it. If that makes any sense. We don't need Batman for a couple of panels to swing in, give some dialogue, and then say, you're on your own, and swing out. Good luck. I like Black Lightning. I feel like he's going to be a strong leader for the team. I like the team that we have here. Again, it was I'd say it's a midpoint first issue. Not a bad start, but not an amazing start either. I feel like a lot of people aren't going to be wowed by this first issue, but at the same time, I'm hoping a lot, like myself, will be curious enough to want to continue. I'm interested in seeing where Batman and the Outsiders go, but again, if Batman's not going to be in the book, if he's not going to semi-lead the team, because obviously Black Lightning's the leader of this team, which I'm completely fine with, but if Batman's not going to be a part of the team in any way other than to give them missions and be off, just call the book The Outsiders. and have Batman just show up every once in a great while. It doesn't have to be called Batman and the Outsiders unless Batman's going to be on the team. The variant cover and the regular cover both show Batman on the team, but he wants to be anything but on this team when you read this book. That's my only complaint. If Batman's going to be a part of this team, let him be a part of this team. If he's not, straight up the Outsiders. Boom, period. Another team from on the Bat Family roster of books. But I liked it. I'm looking forward to the next issue. Hopefully things will build up and it'll get better. But with that, that is it for this week's review. That's it for the classic review. So we've gone classic. We've done combo reviews. We've done everything we've done with the Dark Avenger comic book review series since its first episode. So now all that's left to do is do the next 6 episodes up to 500. I'm super excited. I hope all of you are excited. I said this before. I'll say it again. These are exciting times. And on July 1st, more exciting times. But anyway, that's July 1st. For right now, it's your turn, everybody out there. Let me know what you thought about the books that came out this week. Likes, dislikes, agree, disagree, recommendations. If you'd like to talk about any of the books I didn't talk about in this review, feel free to leave those in the comments below. Or, as always, just enjoy watching the review. And as always, take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and I'll see you all really soon in the next episode.
Bye.
Later, everybody.